experiencing some weird issues, but I think they're done now. Live video problems. I don't remember the last time I did a video here. I feel like I am commonly saying that to myself. I'm going to test the audio, make sure. Okay, that sounds good. Actually sounds really good. Cool. I am definitely off my flow with making videos here, and I think I expressed in my last one that I really have been, my focus has shifted to another project, and right now this channel feels to me one where I want to post when I really feel like it. But I've been really thinking about my video strategy and my YouTube channels, and I suppose maybe I'm always in this mindset, but it's just often thinking, what's the best way for me to create that would make me feel really good and that would be connected with you. We're like in high flea season right now, and it's been so frustrating for both of us. It's okay, sweetheart. It's okay. I feel like all the natural methods that seemed like they were working for flea prevention are not currently working. And I'm not sure if I just need to ride things out or I need to like pursue other options. That's probably one of the hardest things for me about having a dog, is that I want to do things as natural as possible. And the flea situation, ever since I've had her, has been like an ongoing struggle. So a little behind the scenes on that experience. So I want to share with you what has been going on lately and just kind of clue you into my life. It's so interesting. It's like, it feels like a lot's going on and not very much, but in a really good way. I feel pretty balanced. I feel really happy. I feel really like in this great mindset of just letting life unfold. And I feel like that part is the most exciting thing and something that I'm really thrilled about and proud of, and I want to encourage you into that as well. Maybe I just feel really comfortable and confident in a lot of ways, even though there's a lot that I want to shift and I want to evolve into, and I want to improve, and there's things that I feel really frustrated about, but yet overwhelmingly the feeling that I have is gratitude and contentment. And what more could you ask for? I feel like those are like the ideal states to be in life. And it's really interesting to be in that mindset, because is it that my circumstances have changed or have I changed? I think it's probably the latter. But it also shifts around from day to day. So, for instance, I really feel like a big change has been how I've been taking care of myself. So, I think I talked about this in the last video, how I have really prioritized my body. And for the most part, it feels really great to be doing. But I will be honest with you that there are moments where I am a little afraid that my disordered eating, disordered thoughts about my body are convincing me that what I'm doing is good for me. I'm almost positive I talked a lot about this in the last video. Sometimes it's hard to keep track when it comes to these videos, is like, did I just think about that or did I actually talk about it? But I think I shared a lot about that in the last video on this channel, is that I feel like most of my life I have really struggled with my self-image, and I feel like a lot of people do. I think these days people are very open and honest about that, so I feel less alone in that feeling. And it's confusing too, because I think, as I said in the last video, you know, sometimes I don't even know if I should say that I had an eating disorder, because I don't know if it was like a classic definition of one, or just like a common thing that a lot of people go through. You know, I did fall into the range of bulimia. I don't usually label it that way, but I was purging a lot, and I did that for, I don't know, I didn't even really keep track, but I want to say like maybe a couple years. And the saving grace was that I went to the doctor finally. I remember when I was in college, I thought I should probably just mention this to a doctor. I don't even know if anybody, if I had really even talked about it to anybody, but I happened to go, I remember being in the doctor's room and talking to a nurse and saying like, I'm a little concerned and I've been doing this, and they recommended me to a nutritionist. And then I was like, everything the nutritionist was saying to me felt like things I knew. Like I knew how to eat well, I guess, if that makes sense. So then they sent me to a psychiatrist, and that was a huge shift for me because I could start to understand why I was, you know, purging. And it was like I felt out of control, and I really wanted to look a certain way, and I felt like I didn't know how to get my body to be in the shape I wanted it to be through food and fitness. And again, like as a teenager, way back then, feels like forever ago, but also in like the terms of information these days, you know, the internet's evolved so much. And I feel like now we're so lucky. We're actually in a place of information overload, but we have so many people talking about things like an eating disorder, and it's just different, you know. Years ago when people weren't really talking about it as openly and it wasn't as easy to find this type of information. Now I feel like you can go and type like hashtag bulimia, as weird as that sounds, on Instagram and like see people talking about this, right? So anyways, I don't really know if my brain is like wired in a certain way, but just because of my consciousness, when I say wired in a certain way, meaning like bad habits, but I have to be really mindful of myself when it comes to food and anything body image related. And I guess when I'm really conscious about it, I just feel sad because I realize like how much I pay attention to my body and how like concerned I am about my appearance. And it's really tough as a content creator because people will say things about my appearance, even innocent things, and I just like absorb it all in. Like a bunch of people have commented on my throat saying like, oh, it looks like your thyroid's swollen, you should get that checked out. And I get really paranoid about my neck. So like for the past like few months I've been really paranoid about it. And like, but what's weird is that what I look like on camera here is completely different than I look like in the mirror. And I've asked friends, I'm like, does my throat look swollen? And like, I've asked people that would know what, you know, and like nobody ever says anything to me in person. I don't know. It's just like this weird thing where I just feel like I'm second guessing myself, and I'm constantly like, it's that concern with the appearance that I feel like has just been in my mind. And I feel like a lot of people feel that way. Like this is not that rare, right? And it just makes me sad for myself, but other people, that this obsession. And I bring that up because that's the negative side to things lately. But the positive side is, well, first let me explain the side or what I was referencing is that I have been really focused on my diet and fitness. And it feels really good for the most part. So I've been working out. I aim to work out every single day. At the very least, I try to move my body through a walk or through jumping on my mini trampoline, my rebounder, or just do something active. But what I strive to do every day is to go to yoga classes every day. And I've been so determined to get in really good shape that I've been going to like really hard like fitness combination yoga classes, and they're very challenging, right? So, but they're incredibly rewarding. And I just don't know if the reward is that I'm like obsessed with getting into shape. And that's where I like get a little upset about it, because it's like, is that good for me? Is that obsession good? The motivation I feel like is really good, because I'm somebody that really thrives when I have momentum, and I'm somebody that likes to be motivated by something. And so there's definitely a negative motivation. The negative motivation is that I have a family member who, when I was visiting my family in June, about a month ago, this family member was pointing, like kind of shaming me and my body. And it really, really hurt. And I talked about this in the last video. And after that, it just like, I felt horrible about the way that I looked. And a few people said, it does look like you've gained some weight. And I did weigh myself, and I'm not at a weight that I'm normally at, or I was. I haven't weighed myself in like over a month. I think about it, but then I forget to do it because I don't have a scale. I don't even know where I would get a scale to weigh myself, right? I mean, unless I bought one, but I really don't think it'd be healthy for me to have a scale, because I would probably weigh myself like multiple times a day, right? And it's just like, that's the thing, is it's just that weird obsession that's lingered in me for most of my life that I'm trying to be really aware of, because I don't think that that's a healthy mindset to have. So it's just tough. It's really tough. And I wonder if we're just in this time with our culture where everything feels like it could be a trigger. Right now, what I've been noticing a lot in my Instagram and like on YouTube is there's this big controversy about this new Netflix show called like, starts with an I. It's like not Insatiable, but I forget. I could look it up easily. But like, it's about this girl who's overweight and she's bullied in school, and over summer break she loses a ton of weight, and suddenly she like looks really good and everybody likes her, right? And so there's been a lot of controversy around this show because it is kind of perpetuating that idea that, people will accept you more when you lose weight. And that's what's ruling my mind a lot. And I wonder, like, is that coming specifically from some family members that caused that? Or is that coming from the societal side of things, or both, right? It's like a chicken or the egg type of a situation where it probably just has infiltrated so much of our mindsets that we're not good enough, and our worth is based, especially as women, our worth is based so much on our appearance. And I have all these like mild self-worth issues, self-esteem things, but when I say they're mild, it means like I'm aware of them and I don't feel like they're that bad, because my self-esteem, I know, is fairly strong. But then there's this undercurrent of low self-esteem that I feel like gets in my way all the time. And it's so frustrating, because I feel like, I just want to be the best person that I can be. And I feel like it's complicated when it comes to things like fitness. Like, I am driven. I'm like, I want to be in the best shape that I can be in. But why do I want that? Do I want that because is it really good for my longevity? Like, will it give me more energy? Will it make me feel more confident? Like, there's a lot of positive elements to fitness, I feel like. But then it's like, am I doing it for a superficial reason? And I have to be honest, where I feel like I'm mainly doing it for superficial reasons. And it's like, it's kind of that horrible feeling, but then I also don't want to stop doing it, if that makes sense. It's just like very, very confusing. And I'm not over-exercising, I don't think. I don't know if there's a definition for over-exercising, but for me, like, it is a big priority and a big thought process. It's like, when am I going to go to yoga? And if I don't go to yoga every day, like yesterday I didn't go because I wasn't feeling well. And I felt kind of bad that I didn't go. And I was like trying to, Evie, honey, it's okay, sweetheart. I felt kind of bad for not going. But then I'm like, it's okay to have rest days. But then there's always that part of me that's like, oh, you missed a day. Like now you're like one day away from being as in shape as you want to be. It's like, it's just this whole obsessive thing. Now, the good news is that I feel like contemplating a lot of this is really encouraging me to take a deeper, more honest look at myself and do some more research and find out more about the psychology of all this, right? Like I want to find some answers. And I have an ebook that I'm working on called Healthy Balanced Vegan Body that was based on this series I did years ago on YouTube. And I'm finally like turning that into an ebook of some sort. So I kind of feel like maybe there's a reason I'm going through all this because it's so on my mind. And I feel like my body I've never been a girl that just like can eat whatever I want and look perfect, right? Whatever perfect means, like whoever, our individual ideas, right? Like my sister has always been a type that she can eat whatever she wants. And she's like a stick figure with like some curves, right? She has like that classic desirable body. And it's crazy when you have like a sibling who has a body that you have never had and you want, right? So I'm thinking, spend so much of my life thinking, well, why does she have that and not me? Like, why is somebody that I'm related to what's wrong? Am I doing something wrong? But I'm somebody that like my body really does react to food in a different way. Like, I've changed my diet over the past like maybe 3 weeks. I've shifted a lot and I do see a big difference. I feel different. I feel like my appearance is shifting. I fit into my clothes differently. And so it's like, to me, more the diet than it is the fitness. The fitness side of it is like getting into the tone, right? But in terms of like puffiness and like roundness and all that stuff, that the excess weight around my midsection and my thighs and all that stuff, I feel like a lot of that is food related for me. And I've noticed in the times of my life where I've been slimmer, it's usually been because of my diet has changed. And so it's this frustrating thing where it takes so much effort for me to change my body. And it's like, I feel like there's so many people that it doesn't seem to take them much effort. Like they could eat unhealthy for a month and maybe gain like a couple pounds and slightly look different. But for me, like, I feel like within like a week or two, if I'm eating poorly, like maybe even less, my body is completely shifting and it's so frustrating. And I'm grateful that I know that now. A lot of the sadness I experience is like that teenager who just felt completely at a loss. Like no wonder I was purging because like I wanted to eat food and I didn't know that the food I was eating was not making my body feel good. So I just felt like the only thing I could do was to get the food out of my body. Like I wanted the experience of it, but I wanted to also release it because I felt like everything I put into my body was causing me to look a way that I didn't want to look. And I do have a different relationship with food now, but it's still kind of a lot of the obsession. Like right now, I've been experimenting with the keto diet, mainly out of curiosity. I don't know that much about it, so I'm using it as like an experiment to learn about it and to just see how my body feels. Similar to actually when I gave up gluten 8 years ago, it was just purely an experiment because the gluten-free diet in 2010 was like up and coming. And so I was like, maybe I'll give it a try. And then that's how I discovered that I was super sensitive to gluten. And had it not been for that curiosity, it probably would have taken me a longer time to figure that out, right? And so it's kind of fun to experiment with different diets, but it's like I also have to watch myself and not get too obsessive about it. So today, for example, I had bought some grain-free chips. So there are these really delicious chips I've been eating for a while from this brand called Siete. and they make these like vegan paleo grain-free chips from cassava root and coconut flour. And they're delicious. I love them. And I bought them yesterday thinking, oh, like maybe this will kind of fit into the keto diet since they're, they're grain free. And then like someone told me today, they're like, well, I think the carbs are a little high on that, so they technically wouldn't be keto. And I just felt so defeated. I was like, oh. And then like I noticed I was still eating them anyways because I'm not being strict about like following keto rules because I don't even really know what they are yet. I'm still learning, but like I found myself like not wanting to eat the chips because I was concerned that they didn't fit into the rules. And that, it's like, that's the type of obsessive eating I mean. And I have to be like hyper aware. And it just like, it almost feels like I'm being controlled by something outside of myself. And it just feels weird. It feels like, yeah, like maybe that's what it is. I have like a resistance to being controlled, right? But yet sometimes my desire to not be controlled by others leads me to feel controlling towards myself, like becoming obsessive with controlling my everything in my life, right? It's really odd. So a little glance into the psychology, but I feel like it's so important to share these things because I want to raise awareness, not just for myself, but my goal is to raise awareness, help other people tap into their own awareness, right? And I feel like I wish I had heard more people talk about these things so that I could have a better idea of maybe how that relates to my own mindset. So that's why I share those, is because I feel like so many of us have low self-esteem and have issues with food and fitness and our body image. And, there needs to be more acceptance, right? But I also think that our bodies are trying to tell us something. And so I wonder, not only like when I don't feel like I look physically great, is it not just a self-esteem thing, but is it also an indication that my body isn't healthy? And that's like the other concern, is not wanting to do damage on myself. And so I just feel like we're also in this confusing time where there is more information out there, but there's so much contradicting information when it comes to how to eat and the workout and like how you should look. And that's the thing, is like when people point out things like my throat, I'm like, oh no. And then I become obsessed about something. But I haven't been to the doctor yet to get it checked out. And I deep down don't feel that concerned about it. But it's like people point out things about you that they don't know. Like, what if that's just the way my neck looks? Like, what if my neck just looks like this, right? Like, and I've found myself studying other people's necks. Like, does their neck look like mine? Like, does their neck have, this stuff? Like, what does it look like when they swallow? Like, I'm just like curious about people's necks now and like getting kind of obsessed about it. And that's the thing, is it just like, just because a few people have commented, right? And what happens is all these conflicting opinions on each other's appearances, it just starts to become very confusing because you don't know what's right or wrong, what's up or down. And that's something that I think a lot about. So I really wanted to share that with you. On a completely different note, I'll share with you some things. Well, I wanted to share the positive side of, I think like the positive side of fitness is that because I go to a really amazing yoga studio, and every time I walk in those doors, I feel excited. And I don't have a car right now. I'll tell you a little bit about the car situation, but first, the yoga thing is like, because I don't have a car, I walk to a subway and then I take the subway to yoga. And it's like, at first I was like, this is such a drag. Like, it felt like this long process. And every day I'm like timing it and rushing out the door because I don't want to miss the train. It's like, it is an ordeal and it's added a little bit of stress. But I kind of had that already when I was driving to yoga, because like going through traffic and all that. So it's like one annoying thing about the fitness routine I have is it feels a bit inconvenient. But when I walk through the doors of my yoga studio, they're so nice there, and the teachers are so positive. I go there so frequently now that they know my name, and like I just feel so excited and empowered. And the positive side is I'm excited because I want muscle tone, and I want to be strong, and I want to like work on my endurance. And so that side of thing is like, it is very rewarding to work out regularly, because there's like this like, I guess for to summarize it all, is the strength. It's like you're building emotional strength, you're building physical strength, like, and that feels great. And I feel like I'm going to hot yoga, so I'm sweating. I feel like I'm like detoxing. Whatever that means. Then I'm taking showers all the time. I just feel like clean all the time. It's like there's all these like positive things, right? And like I know there's so many great benefits to moving my body, and like I'm starting to see, I just realized that my head's kind of low, but I'm seeing changes in myself, and that's exciting. But then I think it's tough when you go through these periods where, like for me, I go through waves. Like there are times where I'm like feeling like I'm eating really well and I'm working out and my body is feeling good. And then there are times where I'm not eating as well and I'm not working as much. And then to compare those two parts of myself, that can feel really dangerous at times, because then it's like I look back on photos of myself from a few years ago and I'm like, oh, I wish I looked like that right now. I don't know. Anyways, enough of that. You get the point. I'll share with you the car situation. So a few months ago, I think I started talking about this. In January of this year, I made a decision, and it's a really scary one for me. I decided that I wanted to get the Tesla Model 3. And I have been wanting a Tesla for years. Electric cars, like something I've been thinking about for a long time. And I guess I just always felt like it was really out of reach. I got my electric car. I had a Fiat electric car that I got that in 2015, maybe. Amazing, right? Having an electric car is a game changer for me, right? It felt more eco-friendly, and it was so nice not to go to gas stations and just like plug in at home. Like it's just such a cool experience. And the Fiat was so great, and it was affordable. Like one highly recommend if you're looking for like an entry-level electric car, like the Fiat 500e was awesome, and the seats are pleather, so it's mostly vegan. I think the steering wheel, unfortunately, still had leather, as most cars do, but it was just so affordable. And I leased it. It was my first lease, and I just like loved it. I loved the way it looked. Like the Fiat was awesome, but I knew it was a stepping stone, and my goal when I got that Fiat was to get the Tesla Model 3, which I knew was coming out around the time that my lease would end. But it still felt like this faraway thing. But then this year in January, my lease was about to come up for my Fiat, and I thought, you know what? I think I'm ready to get this Model 3. I believe in myself. I can do this. And long story short, I had to jump through some hoops. Back then you had to get reservations. Now they actually just opened it up so anybody can get a Model 3. So a lot of the hoops I jumped through were unnecessary, considering I still haven't ordered my car. But it's been like this past 7 months, like gearing up to get this car. And I think I've kind of put it up in this realm, just barely within reach. And the Tesla has been this interesting thing for me because it's showing me a lot of resistance within myself. So my Fiat lease was up in March, and I've been carless ever since. And my goal was like to order the car and have it, I don't know when my plan was, but I probably should have had it by now. But I just kept hitting this wall over and over again of, and I think it's really funny. I'm watching the views drop as I'm talking about the Tesla. Right? Like, maybe it's because I've been talking for 30 minutes, but how funny. Like, I switch away from like talking about my body and I talk about a Tesla and everyone's like, bye. That's fine. The whole thing with the Tesla has just been really interesting because I'm scared about it. It feels like a big decision. It's not a super cheap car. It's the most I'll have ever paid for a car. It's not that expensive, but it's also not cheap by any means. And it just feels like this new part of my life that I'm like want, but I'm really scared because I'm afraid that I think basically what it's showing me is that there's parts of me that doesn't fully believe in myself, and that I am afraid that I'm not going to be able to do it. Like I'm going to sign up for something and fail at it, or I guess that's really what it is. You know, what if it's all these what ifs. And those are the exact reasons why I think I just need to do it. So I keep saying like I'm waiting for this, like I'm, and this past week I'm like, I'm going to do it tonight. I'm going to order the car tonight. I have to put down a deposit for it, and then I have to there's just like more levels to it. It's scary. It's really what it is. But I know it's going to happen. I'm committed to it. It's just a matter of taking that leap. So eventually I'm going to take the leap. Maybe my plan is to do it next week. And it's going to be a big thing for me. It's just a car to some people, but to me it represents so much. It represents me really believing in myself and getting something that I really want and going to the next level because I have to in order to pay for it, and I think it's just going to have to use it as a motivator. So it is a big deal for me. It's very living in Los Angeles, which is a very car-focused city. It's really hard to get around here without a car. It's not like New York or Boston or San Francisco or other cities that I've lived in where you can just hop on the subway and get somewhere for $2. Here, you can do that. Luckily, I can go to yoga class on the subway, but there's people, tonight I'm going out to be with friends, and it's all this coordination, and it's complicated without a car. So it's a really important thing, and all my friends are getting annoyed that I don't have a car because that just becomes complicates everything. You can't get here, and if your friends don't live near you, you can't carpool. It's just so complicated. So it's going to shift a lot for me when I get that car, and it's a new thing. It's that change. So I'm really excited about it. I just want to be really honest about the resistance and stuff that I've had to face. There's so much going on. I know I've already been talking for 30 minutes, and I'm so grateful for each of you for being on here and for just seeing your comments right now coming in live saying that you're glad that I'm back and you're happy to see me. It's really helpful and powerful. Something I struggle a lot with is lately I feel like I'm a little confused about where I stand as a content creator. And I've just kind of been doubting myself a lot, and I've been facing a lot of resistance, thinking that I don't feel like, it's almost like I'm afraid that people don't care, right? So to see comments from those of you who are writing them in, saying that you're happy to see me, that's really encouraging, and I have to remember that I'm not in this for huge numbers, it's just tough as a content creator when so much is numbers focused, You know, it's like how many followers you have and views you get and all of that. It can be very like consuming. So I'm trying to focus less on that, you know. Anyways, speaking of focus, I need to get back into work and think about if I'm going to do a live video for my main YouTube channel, or the other YouTube channel, I should say. So, yeah, I'm going to get going and get back into my workflow, and then I'm going to head out to yoga and then go out and be with friends tonight. Thank you for being here. I spent a lot of this video sharing a lot about what's going on with how I feel about my body and all of that, and I hope that for some of you it is helpful to hear those things and know that you're not alone, and know that, you know, it can just be frustrating and overwhelming, and there's a lot. Life is just, I think, an ongoing journey of trying to get to know ourselves and figure out our place in the world, and it's just an ongoing process. And as I said at the very beginning, overall, I feel really happy and balanced and excited, and I've been working on new projects, and I could just talk on and on about things. And I would love feedback from you to know what you would like to see more of and hear more about. And yeah, I love getting feedback. I love hearing from you and knowing what you want. You know, I think I get really in my head because I don't want to just talk and like just put out things. I want to know what people want, and I want to know how I can help your life, and I want to know what you're curious about, and I want to create something that you really want to watch and that adds value to your life. So I would love to hear more feedback from you, and yeah, whatever you want to say. I look forward to reading your comments, and I'm grateful for each of you, and thank you for listening. Thanks for being part of my life. Thanks for sharing with me when you do, as some people send me private messages or emails. I love hearing from you in that way. And I will see you in the next video. I would love actually to hear from you how often you want me to make videos. I could probably do videos. Sometimes I think about doing them daily or having them multiple times a week. Like, I just don't know. Right now, I just feel really unclear about all the different types of content. Like, I just, you know, I told myself I was going to do a live video for the main Eco Vegan Gal channel today. And I just don't feel motivated to do it, to be honest. Like, because I just don't know if anyone really cares, right? And it's like, I know some of you do care, and like that, it's not fair to say I don't know if anyone cares. I do know that people care, but it's just like my views are so much lower than they used to be on YouTube, and it's like, is that because people don't like what I'm doing anymore? Should I be doing something different? Like, I have no clue. And that is incredibly frustrating. So I'm not sure, but it feels like a shot in the dark, and I am somebody that wants to continue pressing on. Even when I get discouraged, I am not somebody that gives up very frequently. So I definitely have just been feeling confused and discouraged about a lot of things in life. And maybe that's how most of us feel most of the time. And we just don't share it as often. All right. With that, I'm going to go. Thank you for watching. I will see you sometime soon. And I'm wishing you all the very best in between this video and the next one. And I'm wishing you the best with your journey and whatever you're working through in life. Know that you're not alone, and that I care about you. All right. Bye.